Hi guys, how are you today? Have you been noticing that I start each video saying the same things? I started to think I'm getting a little boring, so I'm trying to change it up a little bit today. I do hope you are all well and ready to start your learning today. We have been talking about cause and effect this week, and we've been using and trying to find the causes and the effects by using some Earth Day books. And I have a good one today, and I bet you have heard these words before: reduce, reuse, and recycle. How many of you recycle at your house? And what do you recycle? And why do you think it's so important to recycle? I have a great book today that is called The 3 R's. It's called The 3 R's, Reduce, Reuse, Recycle. And as I'm reading today, I want you to think again. Remember, we always, when we listen, sometimes it's for fun, and I hope it's fun every day I read to you. But I also want you to remember that you are reading and listening for a purpose, and it's really important that we remember that, because you will have some work to do after the story. I think this little guy is so cute. You are going to be writing about a cause and effect from the 3 R's today. So put your good listening ears on. I hope you enjoy the story. Do you know the letter R? I think I'm going to have to read it this way. This book is a little stiff, so I'm going to try this way and I'll share the pictures, I promise. Do you know the letter R? It's the first letter in the 3 words that teach us different ways to fight pollution. It's the R in reuse, reduce, and recycle. Do you know these words? I think I've asked you that already, haven't I? Reuse things that are still in good shape, such as your Big Brother's jacket. Reduce the amount of things we throw away, such as paper cups. Recycle old things to make new ones, such as a puppet out of a stick. I bet some of you do these things already in your home, and know that in doing those things in your home, you're helping our environment. In the town where Paul lives, people throw their garbage bags into a garbage container at the corner. In the morning, a garbage truck empties the container and takes the garbage bags. Do you know where they go? To a garbage landfill or a dump, which is a huge place in the mountains or countryside far from a city. They need a lot of space for a landfill, and we don't often have a lot of space in cities, and so they will take the garbage into away from a city in order to dump the garbage there. In Paul's town, however, there are so many people and so much garbage is produced that every landfill is full already, and nobody knows where to build another. So they have built a huge furnace called an incinerator to burn all the waste material. Nobody likes to live close by. People think the smoke coming out of the chimney is harmful to plants, animals, and people. I know a while back when I first started teaching at Spring Trail, I had learned that your garbage from Carol Stream, you didn't have any room in the landfill that they used to take your garbage to in Carol Stream, and so they actually would put it on big trucks and they would drive it down to the middle of the state of Illinois to get rid of the garbage, because so many people throw things away that they probably don't need to be throwing away. At Paul's school, they've talked about a huge amount of waste produced in one day, and they've decided to reuse as many things as they can. That means that now they will use every object many times until it breaks or until it can't be used anymore. At its school, they paint on both sides of the sheet of paper. They use empty cans of paint and paper clips and rubber bands. They use a piece of paper over to make a wonderful collage. Do you have any other ideas? what are some other things that you could reuse? And let me ask you this question. Those of you that are writing on in notebooks or on pieces of paper, are you using the back sides? Maybe after listening to today's story, you might like to do that so that you are not being wasteful and you're reusing every piece of paper that you have. At home, everybody reuses as many things as possible. Paul wears a t-shirt that his big brother has outgrown. He also plays with many of his old toys. Can you guess how many objects on the right page may be used over and over? Paul's brother outgrew his bike, and now Paul rides it. And since he has no more use for his tricycle, he passed it on to his cousin. So I want you to take a look at this page. This book is kind of hard to fold back. There we go. Okay, so I want you to take a look at the pictures on this page, and I even want you to stop, and I want you to talk to somebody at your house and talk about the things that you see that you can reuse over and over again, and talk about how they can be reused again or who could reuse them again. Okay, stop the video, find someone to speak to, and come on back when you're done. Nice job. Did you come up with some good ideas? I bet you did. Something else we do at home and at school is trying not to waste water and electricity. Did you ever notice that Mrs. Boffman, when we come into class, I keep that one set of lights turned out? And mostly it's because, you know, I get those poker headaches, but it also is saving electricity at Spring Trail. And have you ever heard Mrs. Boffman say to you when you're standing in line to go home at the end of the day, don't play with the water fountains, because when you push that bar on the water fountain, we are wasting water. It seems very little, but the drops of water from a leaking faucet could fill up a bathtub in one day. So keep the water and lights off when you're not needed, of course. Do you do this at home? Do you ever have mom or dad remind you to turn off the lights? It's saving energy, but it's also saving mom and dad money. And even if you're brushing your teeth, do you turn the water off when you're brushing your teeth, or do you leave the water running the whole time? Think about that. Those are simple things that you can do to help at home, and it also helps the environment. When Paul and his family go shopping for food, they make their own baskets or bags made of cloth. By doing that, they won't have to ask for paper or plastic bags at the supermarket, and it will reduce the amount of paper and plastic made by factories. Reducing means using very little, only what is needed. And if you have been to this grocery store with your moms these days, or if you've heard your mom, they will no longer, because of the coronavirus, the stores won't let us use our reusable shopping bags because they want to make sure that there are no germs being shared. But after we're done with this time, it is Mrs. Boffman's hope that we're able to go back to reusable shopping bags. I know I use mine a lot, and I bet some of your moms and dads have some too. They're useful for a lot of things, those bags are also. Plastic bags are very handy, but sometimes they end up in the sea where they can be dangerous for animals. Turtles may use them for jellyfish and eat them, or they may get tangled up in plastic rings used to hold cans together. It's very important not to litter the ground, the woods, the beach, the ocean, or the city. So there's all kinds of simple things that we can do that will protect the earth. And we have to remember that in our environment, we have animals in waters and around the ocean and on land that can be harmed from our pollution. And sometimes we forget that. So I want you to keep that in your mind. At Paul's school, they throw away all paper and cardboard into a special street container. When the trucks pick up everything, they take it to a paper mill where used paper and cardboard is shredded and washed until it becomes pulp that is wet and soft. It's with that pulp they make paper again, and when it gets dry, we have recycled paper. I know, and I bet if your families, if you have some time, I know it's real busy at home right now, but if you have time and you're really interested in recycling, I know you can Google and or find ways where you can make your own paper. And there are steps. If I find a link, I'll post it on the Google Slides or I'll share it with you. There are ways that you can turn old paper, recycled paper, into pulp and then turn it into and make your own paper. It's pretty cool, and I'm sure it's a simple way. You can either Pinterest it with Mom or maybe even Google it. It's awfully fun to do. Practically everything can be recycled. Paper and cardboard, plastic objects, glass cans. All of these things are first shredded, ground, or pulped, and then they go through a different process that makes new drinking cans, glass bottles, and plastic containers. At school, we make paper paste out of torn and wet old papers. And that's what I was telling you about. If you can make it into a paste, and then if you spread it out real thin, it actually will become paper again. And here are some fun pictures. These are things that they have made out of boxes. I know some of you are super creative, and I bet you could take some old things at home and turn it into something new again. That's being resourceful, and you are reusing items. That's another R word, isn't it? Resourceful. That's an important one. Paul's parents have told him that food scraps can also be recycled. All food that otherwise would be wasted can be made into fertilizer, which is food for plants. The fertilizer produced is called compost. Banana peels and lemon rinds Paul has just thrown into the garbage may become food for plants. Like all food scraps, that's great. And that compost, if your family happens to compost, is really good for your gardens and the soil if you like to plant or grow things. You have to be careful because not everything can be composted, but many of our food items can. Okay, here's another cool picture. I want you to stop the video and I want you to look at this picture and I want you to share with somebody what are the things that can be recycled. Look closely. Okay, stop the video. Okay, good job. Did you find them all? I bet you did. But what if we want to recycle? We have to put the waste in a special container. Now, in the kitchen at Paul's home, there is a container for things that are made of plastic, metal, or glass, and another for all the other garbage. Also, the newspapers and the magazines can be neatly tied into packages so that they can be recycled. I know Mrs. Boffman, I have my recycle bin out in my garage, and we keep our recyclable items up on the counter, and then we walk and put them in throughout the day. I bet you have a way to recycle your items too. At some schools, they also collect used batteries. The children have been told that batteries may not be recycled and that they pollute a lot. So it's very important not to throw them in your garbage. That's why the children have made a special container for them. Once it's full, they'll take it to the recycling center where the metal from the batteries will be used to make new ones. The drawings to decorate the container are work of Paul's class. Didn't they do a good job? I bet they did. Something else is at Spring Trail, I know our Mrs. Boffman's ink in the printer also gets recycled. We don't want to throw those big cartridges into the garbage. And so we do batteries at Spring Trail. We've also started recycling some markers. And like I said, the ink cartridges from the computer is also something we recycle. If we waste less and recycle all we can, there will be less pollution and we will be able to live for a long time in our little planet, breathing smokeless air, swimming in clear waters, and strolling through woods and countryside free from garbage. Paul thinks it's worth the effort. Do you think it's worth the effort? Mrs. Boffman does. I want you to be able to grow into a nice, clean earth as you get old, like I am. I want you to make sure that you have all the nice, clean, beautiful countryside that you can enjoy, and then that your own children can enjoy. So we have to make some efforts now. The end. I hope you enjoyed the book. I hope it made you stop and think. And I want you to think of one thing, one cause, and the effect of the cause. And I want you to write it down in your notebook or on a piece of paper. And go ahead and use the back of a piece of paper. That would be a great way to show us that you are reusing your paper today. Hope you guys have a great day. I miss you tons and love you a lot. Have a great day, and I will see you tomorrow.